point about Ferrum Networks is that when I was doing research for the event today, Algorand, which is the protocol that just raised a $300 million fund to invest in a variety of projects on its protocol layer, actually invested in Ferrum Networks on September 1st, so 2 weeks ago. So this is one of their first investments. And I think for Algorand, it was about the cross-chain token bridge and 6 different staking protocols that you guys have in service products. So that, I think, is a very kind of important news piece. We actually had an article about it in our newsletter last week.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's certainly a big development for us. We do have quite a bit of other grants that are being lined up and also some partnerships that we do have. So we're always moving the ball forward for everybody in the field, including for ourselves, and staying ahead of the pack, so to speak. But yeah, that is a wonderful development with Algorand. It's just, you're going to see a lot more coming up.
Yeah, that's a big one, because I think interoperability, whether it's DeFi or you have so many NFT projects that have launched on the network, I think in both of those hot spaces at the moment, but in all other spaces, interoperability is going to be the key in the next few years.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even on Polygon, we also have a grant set up for all our projects where they're getting, certain financial and as well as, some development help as well. So there's a lot more behind it, but yeah, it's very, very, we're not only versed, but well connected in the crypto community.
So you've done Polygon and Algorand, basically foundational projects, and maybe Binance Smart Chain would be my third guess.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot with going on the Binance Smart Chain. Actually, one of our projects, and what I mentioned, Babylon's, is a project that's I would say, I don't want to say sponsored, but it is featured by Binance as well. So yeah, I mean, we're across different things, and we're also partnered with Chainlink. I'm sure you guys know what that token is, or a coin, and the network. So yeah, that's quite a bit of stuff.
That pretty much covers all the top ones at the moment. So while you find your video, maybe I'll have some questions for Kayla and Christian, who are in this wonderful world where NFTs are going. I'm a media person, digital media most of my career. So when I see a new CMS, Kayla, that is literally Web 3.0, constructed to, for obviously film, television, music, games, and all form of video creation. How far along are you guys, and when do you expect to have some sort of, examples of, how this could be the next generation of media in essence?
So we have what we call the attention leaderboard. On the website is koi.rocks, and they're using our browser extension wallet called Finny. You can create your own NFTs and then directly upload them to the leaderboard. So it makes it very easy for anyone, even not really people who are crypto native or even all that tech savvy, to be able to create their own NFTs. And so we're already seeing people earning rewards and making some really cool things. We see a lot of potential for this. There's several, we're working with somebody on, so we're calling it the new Spotify almost, having apps built on Koi's framework. So we have a template for people to build apps with that will reinforce this reward mechanism. I don't think I really answered your question, but we're already seeing people building on top of the platform with new versions of NFTs. And as I said, in the presentation, we have this dynamic NFT, which is very new in the space. And we know that we aren't going to be creating the best thing that is built on Koi. We're building the framework for other people to build, things beyond any of our imagination, which we're really, really excited to see what comes out of this.
And so if someone is building NFTs that could be sold, but they have some utility, like Christian was talking about, they also may have some sort of gameplay attached to it, and or they may be, I think even had some examples in one of his companies. I think it was network on his chain. But if you actually want to see that NFT transform to something else over time, is that something that can be done on the coin network today? And how would that look like?
Yes, so we just started this dynamic NFT standard. It literally came out yesterday. We do have it's our standard site for atomic NFTs. If you go to atomicnft.com, there's some example code and some explanation about how to create your own NFTs that do different things. And we've only created the first one. So I imagine like people will be able to use our template to make similar things, but it is going to take a little bit of imagination and some hard code work to whatever that next thing is beyond like the attention tracking. But I imagine that within like video games, for example, the gameplay, like you can make NFTs do different things based on what's happening to them. In like they're actually HTML files. They're little tiny apps that are stored on Arweave that will react to whatever you want them to react to. So we are working with an artist right now who is going to make a series of I don't know if I'm really allowed to tease this, but he's thinking about either art that degrades over time, like physical art, and that's just a time-based factor. But he's also working on other projects, like a sketch that will either grow into like a lovely portrait or like degrade into a zombie. Based on, I'm not sure what the factor that he wants to do it, what he wants to use. I'm not sure if it's attention, but just there are already other applications coming out for it, for sure.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. Really, really fun stuff. And Christian, you and I had a lot of discussion about the XR, where is it going? This sort of mixed metaverse. I've been advising Superworld for a long time, and they're certainly building this next generation world. But in your world, I think there's quite a bit of utility attached to it as well. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially what we're creating is it's a marketplace for brands and creators and artists to bring their utility-driven NFTs to our marketplace and sell in our marketplace as their first primary sell. What we're doing essentially is standardizing the minting process to ensure compatibility with different realities. So for example, as you mentioned, Superworld, right? So any ERC 721 token today, essentially the standard for an NFT, can be interoperable and added into Superworld's layer. However, most NFTs are created in 2 dimensions. So one of our standardized minting process is a 3-dimensional NFT. So we will not allow for any 2D NFTs, all must be in 3D, showcasing shade, angles, et cetera. So our world is physical, so we want to ensure that extended reality, which is AR, VR, and MR, also bring in those characteristics into those worlds.
And I always thought that NFTs are going in the direction of e-commerce and secondary markets of variety of products. Many of them you mentioned already, but I would say both consumable and non-consumable ones. I've seen supply chain management applications of blockchain for consumable products, and certainly it makes sense for NFTs, right, as well, and just from that perspective. But you are really saying that the way that we do e-commerce will change, and it's going to be more immersive. And there was this whole idea behind your regular retail environment had to be more entertaining to draw people back in, and all these malls have sort of died down and died out over the last decade, and now with the pandemic have been taken out. So there's no longer that immersive entertaining experience. Everything is done online, and you're saying it's going to go back in that direction even just for pure e-commerce.
Exactly. And you know, the use case example that we spoke of, Mariana, last time was I'm a crypto maximalist, right? So I believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, crypto will be a medium of exchange. NFTs will be the receipt to that medium of exchange. So today, when we you know, interact with commerce, you know, we spend fiat currency or, you know, through a credit card digitally, and we receive a receipt. And that receipt is, let's say, for example, in the terms of vehicle, it can be a pink slip, it can be the registration, the proof of sale, proof of purchase, right? So NFTs will add that layer aspect to the digital world. So for example, Tesla announced that they're going to set Bitcoin as a form of payment, right? We all know here that Bitcoin takes, you know, roughly anywhere from like 10 to 30 minutes, you know, to initiate a transaction, right? Unless you're using something like Strike. However, let's just assume that we're not there yet in the terms of mass adoption. And so what will a Bitcoin transaction on Tesla or Lucid Motors or any new innovative forward-thinking company that is going to exist tomorrow? What does that medium of exchange look like? What does those transactions look like? It's most likely going to be digitally. It's most likely going to be at home because we are under, you know, the remote work, you know, efficiencies, convenience, etc. So a transaction of a purchase of a Cybertruck, for example, done in Bitcoin. So you do this at home, you transact. I see a future where NFTs will be that receipt, that transaction. And now you can actually go redeem your vehicle either at a dealership, through something fun and interactive like Carvana, which is like a huge vending machine for vehicles. And you know, the possibilities are endless here. But it's going to take creators and a marketplace to ensure that NFTs are created in this standardized process, which is 3D native, a standardized minting process to ensure, again, that the NFT can live in different realities, such as Fortnite for Epic Games, in Facebook Workplace, so on and so forth. So we have to, you know, stay away from so much of a blockchain native and actually start thinking of more so of enterprise adoption and what does the standardization looks like. And that's essentially what we're creating. We're creating that marketplace for that.
I also think, to Christian's point, that and if like NFTs, like if you're going to buy a car with an NFT, you need to know that that NFT is not going anywhere. You need to know that it's like safe and secure. And so they need to be cross compatible, but they also need to be permanent. And that's the thing that we're seeing now, like the famous rug pull where everybody got rugs. The struggle of some of, you know, the ERC 721 NFTs that we're seeing, like we are seeing a revolution in what NFTs can be, and if they are going to be these physical representations. And even if you buy a piece of art for, you know, $200 or whatever, you want to be able to have that art, and the permanence aspect of it and the like cross-chain compatibility aspect of it is really important to say that like this is mine, and if I own it on Ethereum but I need it on another chain, I'm still going to own it on that chain, and you can't sell both versions. We do have a bridge that we are working on, should be coming out very soon, to be able to pass Arweave and Ethereum NFTs back and forth. But that's something that people are a little bit taking for granted, that like, because most of us in blockchain like understand the risks, like moving forward, if we want mass adoption, that can't be the case.
Does anyone have any questions for our lovely speakers before we head out to the clubhouse? I mean, I have just one more.
I have a comment. I was just going to say, you know, one thing I find very fascinating about all this is that the amount of money that we put into the content and the art and that's behind all of this stuff. Because if you look back in the day, Van Gogh didn't sell many NFTs when he was alive, or Basquiat, or any of these people. So I guess my question is, how important do you think the need and want to consume this content is to the actual adoption of the technology? Excuse me.
So
yeah, go ahead. That's really a good question.
I think I mean, first of all, art has always been valuable. It's just what do we as a society decide is a valuable piece of art? To the Van Gogh example, at that time, nobody was willing to pay anything for it. Everybody thought it was junk. And now we as society have decided that it's worth a lot of value. So value of art is a very subjective, kind of crazy, wild thing. What I think about related to that is so many of our the jobs and the things that we all do to make livings is going to be automated. We're going to have automatic, trucks, like self-driving trucks, which is going to wipe out an entire industry of jobs. We're going to most people's jobs are going to become automated in the next 50 to 100 years. And at that point, unless we totally reshape society and capitalism to say you don't have to earn a living, there's a whole political conversation around that. But if we can instead make things that people like and people want to use and earn our living, quote unquote, that way, I think the creation of art, more art is a better world. I have a theater background, so I'm a little biased in that sense, but more art, more creativity being put out into the world is going to make us, a better society, better people. But also it's a way for us to exchange worth or value and give things back to society and our communities. Because that's another, step that we have to overcome. And I think creation, even if you're somebody who's really funny on Twitter, people really derive joy and enjoyment from that, that's worth something.
So you're saying the way that the economy around content is changing and the technology is going to change the trajectory so that just more people have a chance to make money from art and this kind of content and stuff like that. Yeah.
We're trying to democratize the ability to pursue your passion. If art on some level is super, super valuable, but if you're an artist who's not famous, it's hard to make any money doing that. And with the attention rewards, lots of people like art, but they don't have the money to pay for it, or they don't have the money to get into a gallery to disperse their art to the people who are going to want to see it. So there's a lot of access issues there. And if we can make it a more accessible system for everyone, I think we're better off.